Hello, friends. Welcome. Matt Wilk in the studio today talking with me about fitness. I'm about to fit this whole pizza in my mouth. That was a stupid fitness joke because I love food. But anyways, I did just eat pizza earlier, actually, so it's not too far from the truth. But just to give you a background, Matt reached out to me. I've been involved in fitness for years, fitting food in my mouth. I'm done. I'm done making the jokes. This is real life. This is real talk. Because Matt is a power lifter, right? So I got into weightlifting through my dad. He was Mr. Altoona, Pennsylvania back in 1977. Been a bodybuilder his entire life. My brother is a power lifter who's 7 years younger than me. And I know a lot about the world of fitness, not saying that I'm the most fit man on the face of the earth. I definitely put my time in and do my thing when it comes to exercise. But I think that it's super important that we talk and discuss and learn about all different forms of fitness, because powerlifting is one of those ones that fascinates me. Like, it's strictly bench press, deadlift, and squat. You're doing 3 exercises, and you're doing those continuously. That's all you do, and you train for those. And it seems like powerlifters are those guys that really get themselves beat up because they're lifting heavy weight. They're the guys that are, going hard in the gym, doing major deadlifts and taking long rest periods in between. And when Matt, the funny thing about him being in here, number one is that he stretches a lot. Number two, that he keeps himself timed while he's working out, so he doesn't sit around too long in between sets, which I notice a lot of powerlifters tend to do. Not knocking anybody, I'm just saying that seems to be a stigma. And also, one of the crazy things is that, like, when Matt stood up at the end of this thing, his whole body popped. His knees popped, like his hips popped, his back popped. And I thought, dude, you've got to dedicate yourself to powerlifting because it beats your body up. And he's a big dude. If you want to see the live version of this, you can go to my Facebook, which is Rob Z Radio, and you can watch our conversation live, or you can listen to it here. It's fascinating either way, but I'm fascinated by fitness in general, and I'm fascinated by people who have made it their entire life and, who really devote a lot of their time and really put their body on the line sometimes for these sorts of things that they're passionate about. So much respect to Matt, much respect to anybody involved in fitness, because I personally went from cycling in my teenage years to weightlifting, bodybuilding in my 20s, and now into more yoga and mental exercises like meditation in my 30s. So I've really gone through a couple of different phases of fitness in my life, and one of these days I'll just get to the phase where I'm just eating lots of food and I gave up on fitness altogether. Maybe that's the next stage. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But Matt's a really interesting guy. Also, the fact that he's going to school to be an accountant. So he's a power lifter who is an accountant, who is a stay-at-home dad, and just a super down-to-earth dude. I had a lot of fun talking to him. Shout out to Sports Evolution. So Matt knows Alan, the dude who runs Sports Evolution. SportsEvolution.net, Facebook and Instagram at Leading Athletes. Also, shout out to Juice, Joos, The Juice Bar on Facebook and Instagram. Trade Secrets, Secrets and Trade on Facebook. Trade Secrets _skincare on Instagram, and the Clay Cup at The Clay Cup on Facebook and Instagram. More about those sponsors that make this podcast possible a little bit later on, but right now, let's get into this conversation with Matt Wilk. Enjoy. Put your wraps on. You wrap it up. Get ready.
This is Rob Z Radio.
Matt Wilk's in the house. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. So you are, let me see if I get this right off the bat, the number 2 strongest power lifter at 308 pounds in the world.
In the world.
Did I get all that right?
Basically. Yeah, so it's number 2 in the world at 308 weight class with wraps. So like knee wraps.
Okay. So there's different classifications even at 308. They break it apart. Okay.
And then that includes and that's only for natural athletes.
Okay.
So people that use performance enhancing drugs.
Just, you can't say steroids. We must say performance enhancing.
Steroids, testosterone, stuff like that. They're not included in that. So
powerlifting has a differentiation between steroid use and and clean.
They do.
Okay.
They do.
I didn't realize that.
There's 3 divisions. There's amateur, elite, and elite's all tested, and then pro. So amateur is anybody that can go from 0 to, like for my class, about 1,600 total pounds.
Okay.
and then pro is 1,600 and above. But then elite is anybody that wants to testify that they're natural. So like for me, even though I'm elite, I still compete against the pros because I can't go amateur anymore after the last few meets. So yeah.
That's wild. Okay, so being number 2 in the world in powerlifting, how did you figure this is crazy because like you didn't even know, right? Because there's not like somebody's not calling you up like, hey dude, we need you to come here for this photo shoot because you're number 2. Like how did that happen?
So I was sitting out on my porch, and my buddy Ryan just did a meet, and he was like, hey, look at this. And there's a website that it's a nonprofit organization, and I guess all the presidents of the federations submit to that website. And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, this is pretty neat. And, just tinkering around, looking up, where different people were. And I was like, wow, I'm number 2. This is pretty cool. Like, I knew I was, like, good, but I didn't realize I was there.
And not, like, number 2 in Pennsylvania, not number 2 in the United States, in the world.
Yeah.
Dude, that would blow my mind if I were you. And I found that out, I would just be floored.
It was pretty neat. And then, like, number 1's from Canada, number 4's from like Russia.
Okay.
I'm looking like, okay, I need to put USA back up to number 1 here soon. So
cool, man. How did you get into? You're from number 1, Altoona, Pennsylvania. Is that where you were born and raised, or?
I'm from Blairsville, Pennsylvania,
okay.
About 45 minutes west. Not used to saying west of here. And then I moved up here in 2004.
Okay.
And graduated in 2006, and then
because. For me, doing this, one of the best things about this podcast is because I like to have all my guests in-house. I mean, I've done some on Skype, but it's nice to have people actually here. And you just get a better conversation that way. And over the past, I don't know, since I've ramped my podcast up a year ago, I've met so many awesome people from central Pennsylvania. Like, there's so many people hiding in nooks and crannies.
Right?
You're hiding at the summit, working out. And it's so cool to figure out, like, wow, there's people all around here that are doing awesome stuff. You just got to kind of look for it, and you'll find it.
You really do.
Put a platform out there for them to talk about what they're doing. And I think yours is near the top of the list because I found that stat. I'm like, this is so crazy. Like, you should be like on a Muscle and Fitness magazine or something. Is there a Powerlifter magazine?
There is. I keep trying to get in it, but the guy doesn't contact me back.
Why?
He's located out in California, Mark Bell. I met him.
Mark Bell, okay.
I met him before, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, would you consider me as a sponsor or something like that? And they just shot a message back. We only sponsor 1 athlete. He's 4-time world's strongest man. I was like, okay, I get it. I'm not good enough. Right. So like I keep reaching out to different places, and nobody really like they want to see how popular you are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and I never realized that. I had a whopping 100 followers at the time. I was like, oh man, I guess I got to get these up. So yeah, that's difficult, I guess. The world's changed so much that it's not just about. Well, I mean, bodybuilding in general has always been kind of it has its fans and its people who are involved in it, and everybody else is like disconnected completely, right? But social media is kind of bringing that to light, like to where it's, I guess now if you amassed a following, then they would recognize you. Then they recognize you, and
so it's not necessarily even about like how much you can lift. It's about how much you can, like, your personality comes through also, because they want somebody they can market, I guess would be
they sponsor people like. Mark Bell's product, Slingshot, that's his line. He sponsors people that aren't even like powerlifters or anything. Just because, they do weird things on the internet.
Because they get attention.
And that puts their brand out there. And, I guess.
The Slingshot is for bench, right? Is that what the Slingshot is?
That's the original project, yeah. It goes across your chest. And it protects your chest or your shoulders a lot whenever you're going a lot heavier. Yeah.
How did you get into lifting? When did you start it out? What brought you to this point?
So I didn't even start until I was about 23, 24. Yeah, I'm 30 now.
Did you play football or anything?
I was a golfer.
What?
I was a golfer.
Wow.
In the military, I joined a semi-pro football league.
Okay. What'd you do in the military? What was your...
I was presidential security for 5 years, and then I took over the military funeral honors all through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, D.C. We were one of the largest areas of responsibility that was the last 2.5 years.
So you started out in the military with the presidential security. I thought maybe you'd have to work your way up to that. That was your
thought I
first
would.
spot. That's craziness. So you were on like Air Force One and stuff like that. And
Yes.
guarding the president.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was fun.
I'd imagine.
It
and
was
stressful.
Very.
Yeah.
Very. I mean, I still, like, there's nights now where I'll wake up and my wife will be like, "What's the matter?" I was like, "I think I heard something," and I'll run through the house. You know.
Are you like protected since you were in that for so long? Is that like something
No.
that you just
No.
they got somebody else and you're out and it's just like any other job?
Just like any other job.
Okay.
That's why I lift weights. I gotta stay big. To stay protected.
Because they're coming for me.
They're coming.
I gotta stay strong.
Right.
So I don't. We don't have to get a whole lot into the presidential security thing, but I find that fascinating. Is that what you tried to get into when you joined the military? Was that like your thought that you wanted to do that?
Well, I joined to be MP, military police.
Okay.
In the Air Force, it's called Security Forces. And, you know, whenever I got in, I was like, oh, I'm going to go overseas. I'm going to fight all the bad guys. And then I got in, you know, I was like 16 weeks away from my family. I was like, I need to get as close to home as I can. Like,
Yeah.
And D.C. was the closest. So I put in for D.C. and Ohio because everybody was here in central Pennsylvania. And I got D.C. and they took me out of the room. They're like, we need to swear you in. I was like, well, why? And they're like, well, will you take a bullet for the president? I was like, yeah, that's my job, I guess. Like, and they're like, okay, well, here we go. And stacks of papers, start filling them out. And next thing I know, I'm in Washington, D.C. in training. So it was pretty fun.
That's pretty surreal. That's wild. So you were in there for like 8 years, that you said?
8 years, yeah.
Okay.
8 years.
And then you got out. I guess where did the lifting start? So you said around 23 or 24. How old were you when you got into all of that in the security force?
2007 until July 1st, 2015.
Okay.
And I started, let's see, we got married, we'll say 2011. We'll just pretend that number.
That's when you started lifting.
Started, and, you know, I would go in, do whatever, 135 pounds on the bench for 10 sets of 10. Didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing it just to get my mind off things.
Yeah.
And then I met my wife, and it was like a month before our wedding. She's like, well, you're pretty strong. Why don't you just do a meet? See how strong you actually are. And I did one the month after we got married, and didn't do too bad, but I was hooked after that. You know, I was so nervous going into it. I thought, you know, power lifters, I'm going to go in, it's going to be like a biker gang and everything lifting. And I literally got up there and I don't know, I benched like 375 pounds or something like that. And everybody was cheering. Like there was a video of everybody in the audience just jumping up because I was struggling and I just powered through it. And I was like, I love this. Like everybody's rooting for you.
Yeah.
The competitors are against you, but they're still hoping that you do good because everybody just wants to see everybody overcome their best lifts.
Yeah.
So I just got hooked after that.
Dude, the world of powerlifting, because I was like, we were talking beforehand. My dad was Mr. Altoona in 1977.
I saw that.
Took home the prize. So he was into bodybuilding. Really, Schwarzenegger got him into it, right? I mean, the whole late 70s era was very Schwarzenegger dominant. My brother was, as a power lifter, still does, not competitions or anything. So I started working out I was probably like 20, 21. As I was a cycler, rode my bike a lot, wrecked a couple of times, scared me to death. So I started lifting weights, and I guess just for me personally, the discipline you get from it, number one, and the feeling you get from being in the gym and you know, doing something that you didn't think you could do, or you know, you've set these goals for yourself and you hit that. It creates it's an addiction in a form of a way, right?
Really
a healthy one. I mean, I guess it can be unhealthy if you take
you have
it
to
that
learn to
extreme.
manage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your short amount of time, because I mean, 2011 to 2018, not that long of a period of time in the span of things. How did you get to where you're at now? Because it seems like I would think that somebody who's number two in the world in powerlifting at a weight class would be at this for over a decade or something like that. But then again, your run, I guess, can't be that long because of injuries and somebody younger coming up and being stronger. So
yeah, so whenever, like I said, that first competition was like 2013, and then it just started from there. I've never actually like even paid for a coach, anything like that. I don't take steroids, obviously. I don't even take protein. Like I love it. Like I love seeing how far I can take my body, knowing chicken and eggs, you know, where I can take it to. That was my thing. And so I just...
And I guess your body's obviously naturally made for it. You're built for it.
I've always been big. I've always been bigger. Except now it's more muscle and not as fat.
Oh, so you were fatter before and turned it on to muscle.
I was about 290 before, and now I'm about 290, but I can lift about 800 more pounds.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it all started with looking up YouTube, watching videos, lots and lots of videos, learning. And I think my first competition, I squatted like 450 pounds. And I said, okay, I want to see how much I can squat and be the best squatter in the world naturally. You know, is it possible to squat 500 pounds naturally?
Yeah.
And I hit the goal, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do the next thing and the next thing. And now it's like, I think it was Monday. Today's Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday? Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, yeah.
So yeah, just Monday I did 700 pounds for 2 on a squat. And
good Lord.
just one thing after another. But I mean, although like I'm doing it, there's no way I could do it without, people around me helping. And that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one, making sure that if something goes wrong, you don't die.
Yeah.
But number two, just the support, right? The camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
that comes along with it.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm sure my wife's so annoyed because she's an occupational therapist, and I'll be, sitting at home and we'll be having family time. Be like, hey, Andrea, can you take a look at this? Like, watch this video. Do you see something with my hips going on here? And she's like, Matt, like, come on. Yeah.
Well, but when you're into it and you're obsessed with it, that's how you have to be. Like you're laser focused on it.
It is, yeah. And if you're not, it slips away so quickly.
Right.
So
how many? So what the average power lifter lifespan? I mean, not lifespan, you're dead. But like as far as their career span, where does it usually taper off?
It's normally about 2-3 years. You kind of get into it. Most people will get up to about we'll just say 400-pound squat. And then it'll be kind of tapering off because, it's difficult. Like this was actually whenever I was putting up questions, what do you want to ask? Somebody asked the mindset, and you got to have the mindset of you got to want it. There hasn't been a day I haven't woke up in the last 2 or 3 years where I wasn't sore. Waking up like you're 70 years old, cracking body parts into place before you can get on the steps.
Yeah,
that's kind of it. And a lot of people, they don't want that, at the end of the day. That's
honestly what happened to me. I started having shoulder and back pain. And I was like, we had Max, my son, and I was like, I don't know if I want to put myself through this. Because it's grueling, dude. Mm-hmm. I mean, unless you are doing that as your main profession, like it's hellish. I mean, to a certain point, obviously, it is very rewarding and fun. Then at a certain point, you're pushing yourself. You're pushing your body past like where it wants to be, right? It's like, no, I don't. You're good. You think you're good here, but I want you to be here, right? And your body's like, no, there's no reason for that.
And that's actually, it's funny because we were talking earlier about the presidential security and stuff. And whenever I was going through my training, the biggest thing was, are you injured, or are you tired, or are you hurt? And it doesn't matter, as long as you're not injured, you're moving forward. And I use that mindset today of, okay, my knees hurt. Is it the arthritis? Is it tendons? You're like, what's going on here? And if it's nothing serious, you press forward. Mm-hmm. But like lifting, although somebody would say, oh man, you're lifting, you squatted 700 pounds for 2, you're going to get yourself injured. I've actually gotten less injuries learning how to lift and lifting these heavier weights than doing something else. Like I herniated 3 discs running.
Right.
I have, spinal stenosis. I have arthritis all through my back, degeneration of the spine. But my spine's actually slowed down the injuries because I'm learning how to do the movements properly now.
Oh, okay.
Like I've never learned how to breathe. And that's one of the biggest things I see people doing is they'll be lifting, but they don't know how to breathe properly. And it's just like.
So explain that a little bit, because breath is a huge part of it. And it's also that the breath helps you to calm yourself down, to focus yourself, to center yourself, to do that sort of weight, right? Because half of a mental game. When you get to those that amount of weight, I imagine it's more. I mean, obviously it's physical strength, but it's a big mental game.
It is.
So what does the breathing do for you? Like what do you tell them? What's your advice?
So what I do whenever I'm going through that is I'll have them lay on their backs with their feet in like 90 degrees up against the wall. And I'll have them just breathe. And I normally show them like with their arms, their joints, how much they can move with air in their lungs. And then I'll have them, let their air out. and their arm will move farther back.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And they're like, oh, wow, okay. And then I'll say, okay, now what we're going to do is you're going to breathe, but try to put it all into your stomach. So I'll do that, and I'll have them breathe like blowing out through a straw. And I'll try to imagine that they're taking their spinal erectors, the long muscles along your spine, and almost feel like it's going around your spinal cord. So you're breathing out and you're pushing out and everything, and you just keep packing that in there. And then they finally feel it, and they're like, wow, like this is really stable here. And they'll go to lift the weight, and something they would struggle with, now they're lifting 4 or 5 reps. And it's like, see, like simple little things like that can go a long way.
Instead of just powering yourself through it, there's techniques that it's naturally there, built in. You're just not tapping into it.
Exactly.
So where did you learn that? From YouTube? From watching? Did you really? It's amazing.
Lots of YouTube. My wife. I have lots of friends that are like PTs, OTs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they all help. So
yeah. That's the fascinating part. And anybody watching this who is a powerlifter is going to call me a sissy at this part, because I do yoga. All right, so just deal with it. But I've learned that through yoga and kettlebell. I do a lot of kettlebell workouts, and like, do you know what a kettlebell windmill is? I've realized this recently. It's like you spread your legs apart, hold the kettlebell up straight, then you like just tip over till your other arm touches the floor, and you come back up. And when I breathe in and out on that, like if I get myself down to a certain spot and I'm stuck and I breathe out completely, my body is like bends in half.
It does.
And it's amazing how, like, because you're just holding all that air, you release that, and it changes your whole entire structure.
It really does. That's what. Oh, that made no noise.
No, you're all good. You can only hear it on headphones. You won't hear it on the recording.
A lot of people, they tell me their stories of their injuries, and they'll be like, "Oh, I had an aneurysm because I didn't breathe." I'm like, okay, but if I let go of my air, we'll just say a normal day at like 500 pounds, I'm going to topple over, So there'll be days where people will think I'm literally like stressing out, like face red and everything. And, they just, I guess, not that they don't understand, but just ignorance to what you have to do to actually accomplish that. Yeah. And that's the big thing.
Yeah, ignorance to how your body works, right? I mean, like, just thinking about the oxygen factor of taking air in and out. Have you ever heard of Wim Hof? It's WIMHOF. So he's called the Iceman. He climbed Mount Everest in his underwear. He swam under the Arctic Circle in his underwear. Just a freak of nature. But he's a master of breathing. Like, he can hold his breath for, like, I don't know, 8 minutes or something like that.
Okay.
And his whole thing is, breath is like the essence of life. Like, you really can control your control your heart rate, control your blood pressure, everything through your breath. And I practice a bunch of his, I shouldn't say a bunch of his stuff, but he does like ice baths and stuff like that. So cold showers, ice baths, those sorts of things. It's like almost a form of meditation, but that's his major thing, is just everything that you do the breath affects everything that you do, and we don't realize it. You never realize it. Like 6 big breaths in and out can take if you're like really nervous or anxious and your heart rate's way up here, it'll drop you down to a very calm level.
Oh yeah.
Naturally. Like it's not like a trick or anything. It's just like that your body's designed that way. And also taking in all that oxygen, you're filling your body up with, like in a large breath, with so much oxygen, so you have more power to exert. And anybody who's like an expert listening to this is like, you're a moron, you don't know what you're talking about. But I think I have it somewhat right. It's in the right vein there somewhere.
Yeah, it is.
But so who are the guys that you look up to that you study online, like as far as YouTube goes?
Oh, whenever I started, it was always Dan Green. Like, all these guys are from California, but Dan Green, he's a 242-pound powerlifter. Chad Wesley Smith from California. Mark Bell was one of them. And then there's another guy, Chris Duffin.
Is Mark Bell bigger, faster, stronger? Is that the Bell brothers?
That's the Bell brothers.
Okay, yeah.
Who, they're from New York, but then they all moved to...
Have you seen that documentary?
A few times.
Amazing,
yeah.
So good. And then the what's the last one they did? The one about narcotics. I
haven't seen that one.
Because he got hooked on pain pills, and that was like, he turned that into he was making a documentary about prescription drugs. Prescription Thugs is what it's called.
Oh, really?
Documentary. And while he was making it, he became addicted to pills. So he made like himself into the documentary. It's pretty fascinating.
I heard he had a drug addiction for a while, and then now he's getting back into into the gym and everything with his brother, I saw.
Yeah.
So.
Well, sorry to cut you off, but who else do you study on YouTube?
Oh, that was really it.
Okay.
You know,
Were you like a Schwarzenegger fan back in the day? Was that somebody who was?
I think anybody that's been to the gym has to be a Schwarzenegger fan.
Yeah.
Encyclopedia. I think I have 2 of them. My father-in-law gave me one. I bought one.
Have you read the whole thing?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that's impressive. That means you're dedicated.
Oh yeah. I've
that
read
is
it a few times.
Big book.
It is. I think it's bigger than the dictionary.
Yeah, I've gone through like the workout parts, and I've read some of the. I should go back. I have it too. I should read it just for the hell of it. But it's a boy. I mean, he put together the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, right? Is what it's called. That's a fascinating piece of work.
But yeah,
amass that.
I started reading that a few months before I got into powerlifting, and I was trying the whole bodybuilding thing, but I could do it. It was just the dieting. I like food too much. Pizza. That's Achilles heel right there.
Right, it'll do it.
Yeah.
So why powerlifting? How did it end up on that? Because really you're doing squats, deadlifts, and bench, right? And that's it.
Yeah. We were living it was Owing Mills, but I just call it DC at the time. And at my gym, there was this guy that he lifted a lot of weight. I was like, I'm going to beat him, and came out to be best friends at the end. But he was a power lifter, old school 70s power lifter. And he's like, oh yeah, this is what we got to do, X, Y, and Z. And, we started lifting. And like I said, my wife was just like, just do one. And I got addicted. And it was like, okay, I only need to learn these 3 lifts, unlike strongman where, you got to be all over good. I was like, I'm already big and I don't have to lose weight. This is perfect for me. And, it's a sport that you don't realize how much you'll love it until you do it. They're like at the summit, there's so many people, I'm so far away from the state records, or I'm this, I'm that. Just do it. You're going to love it. It's not too expensive either.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, like, when you randomly found out that you were number 2 in the world, that's the best way to go about it, right? Because I mean, obviously you want goals, but if you're always looking at this thing of like you're chasing this thing, and you can lose sight of day to day, right? You get discouraged because you never quite get to that spot that you want to get to. But if you just day to day crank away at it, and then all of a sudden find out you're number 2 in the world, that's like because you were putting time in just because you loved it. And was it a competition against yourself for the most part, or?
Me and my buddy Ryan, whenever we could lift together, it was always back and forth. Like, he's 181 pounds, I'm 292 pounds right now. But there's a scoring method that we could go back and forth and be like, okay, we're gonna each max out in 12 weeks, and we're gonna see who's gonna do better at this max. And it would be, okay, you're doing better here. Next time, then I'm doing better. And we keep going back and forth. And he would watch me and he'd be like, hey Matt, okay, you're doing X, Y, and Z wrong. Okay, yeah. And I do the same with him. And just like me, he found out he's number 12 in the world.
Really?
So it's like
just from working with you guys working
going
together.
back and forth, and just it's amazing. And I love, like you said, I love the fact I didn't know. I knew I was probably top 10 in the nation, but then
how did you know that? Just because of what you were lifting, the amount of weight you were lifting.
The amount of weight I was lifting, you realize there's an eye that you can get, okay, this person's not natural, that person's not natural. You can see it.
Yeah.
And every single event I'd go into, it'd be like, okay, you win this, you win that, you're a top lifter here. And then I was just like, okay, there's gotta be, I figure, I went to the Arnold in 2017
competed,
yeah.
That's so cool, man. Did you meet Schwarzenegger?
No, I wish. No? I wish. No, that's where I met Mark Bell, though. That was an interesting story on its own. But yeah, I mean, I had the worst meet of my life. I took dead last.
Really?
I tore my pec on the second to last deadlift. And my buddies thought I was crazy because I'm like, my goal is to finish. So I went up there with my tit hanging down. I'm like pulling the weight. Okay,
dude.
Yeah, I was like, can I go to the hospital now?
How did that happen? That was the worst lift of your life.
Just the worst total. I went in there expecting to get, we'll just say 1750, and I ended up doing like 1625. I went in there for fun. I wanted to just.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's the biggest stage. I'd say biggest stage in America, but I wanted to take in the experience. I didn't know if I'd ever be there again. So we were out the day before. We were going to seminars. We walked around, just stuff you shouldn't do before a competition, especially something that big.
Yeah. But it's
And-
hard being at the Arnold because it's such a sports mecca. I've been there like 3 or 4 times. It's incredible.
It is.
It's you meet everybody you've ever wanted to meet in bodybuilding, and
they're
now
there.
martial arts, jiu-jitsu, powerlifting, strongest man, CrossFit. Like they're putting so much table tennis,
Yeah,
ballroom dancing.
archery was.
Right.
I was like, what is
It
that?
keeps expanding and growing. It's so
Right.
cool, man.
It is.
So it would be hard to go there and be
not-
focused.
And that's the goal this year. Is I want to win it this year. But that year I was just I was so nervous. And
This is just last year.
this what's the year? So
Oh, right.
2018
already
would've been this-
happened. Yeah.
2017 I was in it, and my wife was just like, Matt, you need to calm down. Just go and have fun. So 2 days before we left, I saw Mark Bell was giving a free seminar. I was like, hey, you guys, we're going to this. We just randomly showed up. And right before the seminar, me and Ryan, because I said he was my coach at the time for the meet, because he was helping me out, wrapping me and everything, we got free bands that allowed you actually into the expo.
Oh, okay.
So I went up, and the security guard, and it wasn't even open yet. I was like, hey, can we go in here? I'm leaving tomorrow. Like, I won't even be able to do this. I'm a competitor. Can we go in? Okay, yeah, cool. So me and 2 of my buddies, we just snuck in. And we were walking around the expo like as if we were security guards and stuff. We were just taking it all in like, wow, like, here's Rich Piana, here's Mark Bell, here's everybody else. And then whenever we actually got to meet Mark Bell at his seminar, I walked up and I was like, hey, I was at your booth. He was like, how did you get to my booth? I was like, just so you know, I stole some slingshots. He's like, seriously? No. He goes, oh, shit, you should have then. I was like, well, if I would have known that, I would have taken a bunch, sold them online.
Yeah, right.
Could maybe got an autograph.
Seriously. Was he pretty cool? Was he a cool dude?
He is exactly what you see on YouTube.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
to a T, which I think you have
Seems
to.
a very down-to-earth kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's a lot into promotion, but he was cool. He took photos with us. People were lifting. He was giving critiques. I mean, not what you would expect for a free seminar. I expected to walk in and just hear stories the whole time. It was really interesting.
Oh, like more interactive and actually checking out what you're doing. Make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
you're doing it right.
Oh yeah. So
I think that one of the most important things that a lot of people miss out on, and I did for years, man, and really I still do sometimes, having a partner. Like somebody, like either a mentor or a lifting partner and a coach. Like all of those things are incredibly important. Have you always had somebody, like you have your buddy that you work out with? You have a mentor who's like helped you get to where you're at, or did you use YouTube for that?
I've never had a coach, coach. Like I've never paid anybody, but I'll be there. Like Ryan, he's helped me a lot. It's more so, this can sound bad, like eyes, because I can't see myself lift. I'll videotape, but I might only get one angle.
Yeah.
But there will be different eyes. Like right now.
So eyes making sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, so they can pick out like, oh, you did this wrong. That's why.
Well, it's more so, hey Matt, your left elbow flared out this time, and me knowing a lot more about my body, I'll be okay. Well, that means I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I need to do this to fix it. And like right now, I'm working out with a guy named Brad. He's helped me a lot with my mental game. Just you need to calm down. I'll do stuff on Instagram. I'll be like, no clouds. Just need to focus on what my goal is that day. I don't need to take in the gym perspective of, my squat rack's taken today. Just go in and calm down and get what you need to do done each day. So yeah.
Do you walk in like to the gym like you've got to have it set up the way you want it? Is that? He's trying to get you out of that mental framework of like it has to look this way and be set up this way, or I can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they have 3 different racks at the summit, and each rack's just enough different that it throws you off.
How are they different?
They're different generations. So, the first rack is it's skinnier. The J hooks are longer, so you have to move the bar a lot farther out and everything.
Oh, okay.
The second and third rack, the middle rack and the newest rack, they're enough alike that it doesn't throw you off too much, but like the hooks just aren't the same. So it might be a ½ inch lower or a ½ inch higher whenever you go to lift it, and it's funnier, especially whenever you're up at a certain weight where it's like, okay, like it's not how it was yesterday. Excuse me. But yeah, it's enough difference that I can tell, at least. Other people might not, but.
And I imagine if you were used to doing the same thing every single time on the same rack, that would be a detriment when you go to a competition and you don't know what kind of rack you're going to get, right? That could screw you up because you're always in one spot doing the same thing.
It's different equipment, but the way I train in the atmosphere, I actually will throw in different scenarios. So like, the people that are around me lifting, they'll come back and be like, oh Matt, at this meet, I had my wraps on and they took forever, so I had to be in my wraps for a minute or two. And I mean, these wraps are literally like a tourniquet around your knees.
Yeah.
So, you're ready to get them off as soon as you put them on. So we'll throw in scenarios like right now I'm 32 days out from Worlds. I put on my wraps and I'll be like, okay, today I'm just gonna put on my wraps. I'm gonna sit here for 2 minutes, just to throw different things in there. I'll have people purposely stand right in front of me to give that weird, like a little kid running across the stage.
Like the audience watching you or something like that.
Yeah,
So you're...
different things like that. I like throwing that in there a lot, and it's helped a lot.
I'd imagine it would.
So,
because that's a huge... I've never been in a bodybuilding competition or a powerlifting competition, but going from in a gym, all your buddies are around you, you know the environment, you know exactly what you're getting into, and then going to a stage with a crowd watching you and somebody on the microphone introducing you, and like that's got to be a big mental game.
It is.
It's got to mess you up.
It is, and I'm still not used to it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody ever is really used to it.
Unless you'd work out in front of an audience at all times. How you could ever make that happen.
Well, everybody please come here right now. I'm going to lift. Sorry.
Maybe virtual reality, that could be it. Put the goggles on, you got an audience in front of you.
That actually would work.
That probably would be pretty impactful, yeah.
That would.
That's crazy, dude. I'll tell you, the world of powerlifting's always blown my mind because I just find it fascinating that you guys do 3 exercises and that's it. It just is. It seems very boring to me. That's when I look at it, I'm like, dude, I could never do that because I get so bored by just doing those 3 things over and over again. Yet I do things all the time that are, just what I like to do, and that's it. So, what's your favorite workout, I guess? What's your favorite of the 3?
I love squatting.
Squatting. Okay.
Squatting. I could squat every day if I could.
Really?
Oh, I love it.
What does it do for you?
It's something about, like deadlifting. If you don't get the weight, you just let go. Okay. Benching's nice. There's that scare, fight or flight of if I screw up, it's coming down on my chest. Yeah. But like whenever you have the weight on your back and if you fall forward, backwards, side to side, you're getting hurt.
Yeah.
That sounds really weird, but there's just something fascinating about it. And benching, I can bench almost 450, but my squat's closing in on 750, 760, and it's that much weight. And at that point you have 4, 5, 6 spotters all around you. It's like, wow, like and at the end of the day, somebody that's 130 pounds squatting 315 is just as good as me squatting 700.
Yeah.
But people look whenever you're at 700.
You're like a different kind of human.
It is. Whenever I go heavy, the whole gym stops.
Right.
And I'm not like trying to brag, but it's fascinating. Like I'll get underneath the weight and I'll get ready. I'll look around and I have to get refocused because you just feel all the eyes on you. It's like, okay,
That's
people
good
see.
for competition though, right?
It
You're
is.
mentally ready for it.
It is. It learns how to get refocused and everything.
What's that feel like with 700 pounds in your back?
Did you ever get run over by a car?
I've been hit by a car. Never run over though, so I don't know.
I've never been either. It's kind of like that. It's a lot. It's relative. The first time I squatted 500 kind of feels the same as 700.
Do you freak out initially? Is there like a moment of panic?
Before I leave for the gym and I go heavy, I tell my wife I love her. I don't know if I'm coming home.
It's like you're going on a fighter pilot, like battle World War II or something. Like,
yeah, no, it's different. Like at that weight, you have to be 100% serious or else you can get seriously injured.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, that weight on you, it's crazy. You feel your heart pounding, you feel, everything. But whenever you unrack it, like you were saying earlier, mentally you have to be prepared for it. I'll always look in the mirror and I'll tell myself, you need to want this more than you want to breathe, because if not, you're going to get crushed.
You're not going to get it, and you can't think about anything else.
No.
Nothing else can enter your mental space or you're screwed.
Yeah. And that's why, I throw in those training aspects to try to get things to throw me off. So whenever, I'm on the big stage again, it's normal to me, but it's something else. And, that feeling that you get after it, I mean, you get, you're like, I finished the weight the other day, and I remember screaming, "Yeah, baby!" And people were looking at me. I'm like, okay, just humble yourself down a little bit. But I mean, you get excited. And
Well, of course, right? I mean, you would. It's like that's looking like the NFL and somebody gets a touchdown and they can't celebrate afterwards. Like that's an exhilaration. Like,
It
that's,
is,
That's
I'm
a
sure.
that's a great feeling. And I imagine doing that, like, because in the gym, you are probably looked at as a douchebag to a lot of people, I would think, right? I don't mean that in a mean way. Don't take it like that. But
I actually no.
okay,
That I think that's my biggest thing is I try not to do that. I try to bring a different atmosphere.
okay,
And I've always lived that way. My first mentor in DC, he told me there's 2 paths you can go. He knew that I was going to go somewhere with this. He said you can either become an a-hole or you can be a mentor. And I was like, that'd be pretty cool. These little high schoolers around here running around.
yeah.
You have somebody to look up to. And like there
That's
are
awesome.
there are a lot of powerlifters, don't get me wrong, that are looked at like, oh, this guy's in the gym.
I think what I meant was like as a whole, the powerlifting community looks like that. Not you
They do.
personally, but like just in general, you walk in and you're like, oh god, somebody's slamming the weights. You're like,
Here's
here we
Jimmy
go.
again.
Yeah.
Lifting 500 pounds. Boom.
Right.
Boom. Yeah. Oh, as a whole, yes, it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the stigma, I guess, behind it. But yeah, helping kids out, I mean, that's awesome. Being able to go into the gym, because I remember going in and like just being clueless and totally lost. So there's a lot of people in there who just stumble in, no idea what to do.
And that's one of the things I try to do is I'll go in there and it's summertime now. I'll see people looking over and I'll just randomly walk up and I'll start talking to them like, hey, what's up? And then they'll start, hey, how much can you lift? How can I get there? And then the next day in the gym, I'll pull them over and let's start working out. Like, let's do this. And I'll lift with them for like a week or two, and then I'll go back to my thing, and they'll see them and all their buddies lifting together again. But I mean, that's how I've actually built a following, so to say, in the gym. Not a following. I mean, it's friendship now, but just helping this person here, helping that person there, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as you, and nobody cares at the end of the day. Really, it's just weight.
Yeah. But if
Yeah.
you're helping other people, they're going to care. It's like, man, that guy made an impact on my life.
And that's what I'm trying to do for not only myself, but like the sport. I'm trying to bring some, okay, you don't have to be a biker with 25 tattoos to do this. You could, like me, not to brag or anything, but, I'm a college student, I'm a father, I'm trying to better myself.
You're going to college for accounting. It's like, you'd never you told me that. I'm like, wow, okay.
Right.
That changes things a little bit. Like
Right.
that puts it in a different perspective.
Yeah. But not to plug, if I could become a strength coach, anybody out there, I'd love to do that. So,
Well, like we were saying beforehand, I think like for you, and like you said with Mark Bell, like if you want to get on their radar, you've got to do social media. You've got to put yourself out there. So really, it would just be what you're doing, like helping those kids. And you put yourself on Instagram doing your lifts and stuff like that. So it would just be doing that, but just for a camera, just for an audience online. Like, do you know Elliot Hulse? Do you know who that dude is? He's
watched
amazing.
him. He was another one. I watched him forever. He's
Yeah.
so smart too.
Yeah. And he's so good at I don't even know if I've ever seen him lift. I just watch him talk. Does he have lifting videos? 'Cause I've never seen them.
About 8 years ago, he did. And then I think he turned into like a holistic type style now. And I know he put out a few books.
Oh, really? So he got away from powerlifting altogether.
Yeah, because he started as a strongman.
Oh,
I think
right.
he only did strongman. And he I think it was just like a warehouse or a garage that he rented out. And then he grew clientele and YouTube followers. And I think him and his wife are more into like yoga and what can you do with your body,
Yeah.
which I'm sure he probably stacked on some injuries that he can't do it anymore. So,
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you too, man. Like, well, so going back to that point, like, I think for what you're doing, there's no money in weightlifting.
no.
It's just like the pride and like being able to lift the weight and like, really beating your own goals, I guess, over and over again. But putting yourself online and putting yourself out there, I mean, you probably have tons of knowledge that you could pass on to people that would help them.
I do. Like we were saying earlier, if there was a degree in lifting, I would have it by now.
Yeah.
And like even online, that's one of the things I try to do with my Instagram. Everybody, I call Instagram, the perfect world, because a lot of people, especially in the lifting field, will put their best lifts. So like, oh, I lifted, 400 pounds today, where I do it every single day. And I'm sure the people that follow me from high school and stuff, they're probably annoyed from it. But my thing is I want to show people that, you're not perfect every day.
Yeah.
You know, I'll lift 400 pounds today and I'll do it horribly, but then I'll go through and I'll say, you know, this is what I did. Here was my mental cues. I'm gonna fix this tomorrow. So people that are watching or looking at it are like, okay, if he can do this and he wasn't this good, you know, compared to somebody else that is like, oh, he lifted 700 pounds. Oh, he lifted 800 pounds this day. And it's always just the perfect highlight.
Just the
reel.
highlight, yeah.
You know, and that's one thing I'm trying to do for myself, just to stand out and be different. You know, just show people.
I think that's super important, and I personally, I agree with you 100%. I just had a kid in here the other day, and he's a YouTube channel. His name's Jeremy, and I think he's 17.
I saw that.
He had an old account, and he deleted all his old content. And I was like, and it's whatever. It's whatever you want to do. But I said to him, there's something about being able to watch somebody's journey, right? Because that makes it more real, and it makes you more connected to that person then, because you're like, oh, they're not just showing off the best they can do. They don't live this life every single day. They have bad days. They go in and screw up, or whatever the situation is. So to be able to see that just makes you more of a human. You don't. It's okay if you use the coaster. I appreciate it though.
My mom would spank me.
But I think that's super important, man. It's huge because people need to see that. That just kind of humanizes you and lets people know, oh, all right, this guy's he's the real deal, but he's the real deal because he goes in there and puts the work in every day.
Oh yeah.
How many days a week do you hit the gym?
I only do weekdays. I normally lift Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then like tomorrow being Wednesday, I'll go in, I'll do like some cardio and you know, some stuff that I might miss because I only get a 2-hour limit with the daycare and everything.
Yeah.
So in 2 hours you can only do so much work, especially at like this level. So, you know, Wednesdays will be kind of like my makeup day, and then you know the weekends, that's family time.
Yeah.
Know? So 4 days mainly. Put in
2 hours a day each day. Is that usually?
It's 2 hours, but that includes warming up, you know, stretching and all that, and the cool down stretches and everything. So I'm only actually lifting for, I would say, 90 minutes at most. You know.
And so breaking that all down, because I think one of the other things that a lot of people miss is the stretching aspect. I know I did for a long time. So what do you do? What are your warm-up stretches? What are the cool-down stretches? And like, what would you say to somebody who doesn't stretch? Because I know people who lift who don't stretch at all, and it's...
If you don't stretch, you're only hurting yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that first and foremost. And I'm guilty of not stretching for the longest time. And there's a trainer actually from the gym, Adam. He helped me out a lot, where one day I was in there and he's like, hey, your IT band's pretty tight. And I was like, how do you know? And he's like, oh, you know, you're doing X, Y, and Z. You know, here, let me show you some stuff. So, you know, he has me on some stretches where, like, to warm up, I'll do like 10 toe touches, some squats, some rowing techniques, and then like a lot of leg kicks to get my hips and, you know, different tendons warm, cat backs, where you're on all four. You probably know this.
Yeah,
yoga.
cat arch and...
Yeah, a lot of that. And I think they're called dead bugs, where it's, you know, your right arm, left leg, sticking them out. You know, he has me doing a lot of that stuff, and it's changed 100%, you know. Because
you're pushing your body in one direction all the time, right? When you're doing bench, doing squat, but you're never pulling it back the other way.
Correct.
And getting all that stretched out. And it's common sense, right? That you need to do both ways. It doesn't work. Your body doesn't just like go one way and that's it. It needs some flexibility.
Exactly. And that's, you know, everybody thinks, oh, you know, not me, but I'm stronger than this. I'm stronger than that. You know, they see these trainers, you know, not calling out the trainers at the local gym, the Summit, but they'll see them. They're like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. But whenever you talk to them, they know. You know, they really do know, because, you know, it's like holistic 360. You know, you're doing a squat every day or a bench press every day, but if you're not working out the other parts of your body, you're only going to get so strong until you build up 360. That's why I call it that way, around the whole body.
Right.
So it's a lot more than just squat, bench, and deadlift. You got to work every other aspect in there.
Yeah, because you're only hitting so many muscles and so many ligaments and tendons with what you're doing. I'm loving this conversation. Let me break in real quick, because there's certain other things when it comes to fitness that I'm super passionate about. One of those things is jiu-jitsu. So I take Gracie Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from a purple belt. His name's Alan Coble. He teaches at Sports Evolution, 2900 Plank Road in Altoona, Pennsylvania. If you want to see what Alan does, he works a lot with kids. He works a lot with adults, and he is a CrossFit certified level 1 and 2 trainer. He's a certified strength and conditioning specialist, certified personal trainer, has his bachelor's in physical education and sports science. He does youth martial arts. Dude, he does it all. Sports Evolution. Find them at Leading Athletes on Facebook and Instagram if you want to visually see it, and sportsevolution.net. I'm also all about nutrition, keeping your body healthy. That's half of what fitness is all about. So juice is the spot for me at The Juice Bar, JOOS, 517 Allegheny Street in Hollidaysburg, PA. Cold pressed juice and smoothies, smoothie bowls, bone broth, everything fresh, everything made to order. Trade secrets. So if you're looking for chemicals for your body that aren't bad for your body, right? It's weird that like deodorant has aluminum in it, that chapstick has all kinds of weird chemicals in it. These things you never expect or even research all that much. Steph and her husband Andy eliminate all of that, make all natural products at Trade Secrets. That's 1223 13th Avenue in Altoona, PA. So wax candles, wax melts, lip balms, sugar scrubs, bath bars, all natural deodorants. You can go to Secrets in Trade on Facebook to see it for yourself. And the Clay Cup, 1304 11th Avenue in Altoona, at The Clay Cup on Facebook and Instagram. It's coffee, it's tea, it's creativity. Look up the Clay Cup. Look up Sarah Vogel, the owner, and all the amazing things that she does. Thank you so much to the sponsors for making this podcast possible, making these episodes happen. Let's get back to this conversation. I do I don't know if you're a wrestling fan, but DDP Yoga.
Oh, yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page from
He's
back in
coming
the
here.
90s. I know, man. I'm going to be on vacation next week.
Really?
I'm going to miss him. I'm so upset. He's actually a sponsor on the podcast now. The DDP
really?
Yoga is a sponsor. Yeah, I've been doing it for about 18 months, and it all started. I lifted a lot, and then my back and my shoulders hurt, and I quit lifting altogether. And I realized, and I found this from other people, when you lift a lot and you stop, your body hurts because your body's used to the stress that you're putting on it, and it likes it. So when you stop, your body kind of freaks out. My body was freaking out, and I was having a lot of pain. I'm like, what is going on? And I started stretching. And I started watching like yoga on YouTube, and then I remembered, Diamond Dallas Page. He like saved Jake the Snake Roberts' life. He saved Scott Hall's life. Chris Jericho.
He did a lot.
Yeah, I mean, even himself, dude. He's like 63 and he can lift his foot over his head. So I got his program and started going through it. And the thing that I found the most fascinating was because I made fun of yoga the whole time I lifted too. I was like, I'm not doing yoga. It's for girls. I'm not doing that. And DDP was great because his program is very much like yoga for guys. So it's not like slow paced. Like he's very high energy and makes it fun. Not saying the slow version isn't fun, but whatever. But I found so much more strength in parts of my body that I never knew existed. Because
it is
so many ligaments, tendons, and muscles and stuff that you never even tap into when you're doing a bench press or a preacher curl or whatever the situation might be. That it changed my whole outlook on what fitness is.
No, I used to do yoga too.
Did you?
I did. In the military, there was every so often we got to pick our own PT, and my lieutenant would always choose yoga, which in front of a whole squadron, it's like, oh man, there's Matt doing yoga over there. But it's a lot more intense than I thought. I was coming out sweating, drenched,
dude, just dying.
And you look so bad doing it whenever you're starting out. And
Yeah.
you know you look bad.
Yeah, and I imagine the bigger you get, the harder. I mean, imagine you doing it now would be really difficult.
Well, that's actually, I just got done doing some physical therapy, and my the doctor was like, you're really loose, like in a good way, like you're real stretched out. And he's like, I was expecting to come in and your hamstrings are tight or something. He's like, I don't know what to do. So I'd go in there, I'd do my stretches that they'd prescribe, but it was just funny because he would actually like talk to me about stuff. And he's like, oh, so how's your lifting doing? This, that, and the other. Well, as I'm doing it, because I'm not saying I didn't need instruction because he's a doctor, he had to do what he had to do, but it was neat while watching other people. They were going through each little thing, and they were so tight. I had sciatica way back in the day because I didn't stretch. And that's what actually turned me into yoga and doing some stuff like that, because yoga helps a lot.
And I imagine the weight you're doing also, like having squatting that weight is really stretching your body out too, because you're putting you can't like get as low as you can, I wouldn't think, with the amount of weight, without that weight being on your back. It puts an extra stress and
it does,
and torque on your body, or whatever the term would be.
It does. It compresses you a lot. And I actually decompress afterward, traction and stuff.
Do you really?
I have to.
What do you do?
I have they're called gravity boots. They wrap around your ankles and you flip upside down and you hang for a while.
I have an inversion table at my house.
Oh, those are amazing.
So yeah, it is. It's pretty cool.
They feel good. I mean, they do. It feels good, but it actually, if your spine, it pulls your spine apart, and the cerebral spinal fluid is just like amazed afterwards because it can move around again. Packing, we'll just say 400 or 500 pounds on you constantly.
Yeah,
you have to loosen it up, which is where yoga comes in. Getting those stretches in there. Like doing the cat backs, it gets your cerebral spinal fluid moving, and that can actually save you whenever you go to lift the heavier weights too, if you don't do it beforehand, which stretching again comes into play. So
how long do you spend stretching beforehand and after?
Unfortunately, about 30 minutes before,
Okay.
I'd say. And
What do you mean, unfortunately?
it takes up time. It's a lot of time.
Right, you want to be in there just lifting right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, I wake up, do the morning routine with the kids, and my oldest son, he's 4. He'll actually help me stretch now at home. He'll be like, "Daddy, you ready?" And he'll take one foot and he'll bring it to my arm, and he'll do the other one. He's like, "Are you ready? You loose?" He's like, "Okay, now you stretch me out," and we'll do that for a while.
And he's like a pretzel. Little kids are like, oh my gosh, it's amazing how flexible they are.
He's like, "Daddy, why can't you put your toes up above your head?" I'm like, okay. But yeah, I stretch a lot. Before the gym, at the gym, after the gym, before I go to bed. I'm literally always stretching.
People might not know that, right? I mean, that's a very important thing to put out there. They might they would see you and be like, "There's no way that dude stretches."
Oh yeah,
but you probably stretch more than anybody else.
Yeah,
if it comes into like the lifting part of the gym.
I'd be surprised if locally, if people stretch more than me in my sport, or even I'll go as far as bodybuilding. I mean, I stretch a lot. Yeah.
It's funny to me that people will lift a bunch of weight, which hurts, puts strain on your body, right? And like you like that, the feeling of that strain and the pressure and what it does to you. Like you enjoy that. Yet stretching can give you the same amount of pain and stress and strain. Yet you don't like that. That always confused me. Like because the one end, I guess it's because you look like a badass lifting all the weight. You don't look like a badass like putting your arm over your head or like touching your foot or something like that. But it feels sometimes. I feel like I get the same amount of satisfaction from either one.
I actually, whenever I do it, because I mean, it gets old, doing the same thing, even with powerlifting, doing the same lifts over and over.
Yeah.
But I just think of it as this is just another aspect of the training, because if you don't stretch, you're tight. If you don't stretch, your muscles, whenever they heal, they don't heal. A longer muscle is a stronger muscle. Mm-hmm. That's in the encyclopedia of
Is it?
Arnold. Yeah. Yeah. So you have to stretch to get the muscle spindles stretched out and everything. So, they won't heal perfectly right if you don't. And then, say you go a month without stretching. I mean, it's going to be even worse once you get back to it. So some days, it's just we're going to stretch, we're going to get through this, 20, 30 minutes and we're good. And other days it's, especially on like Fridays, because stretching, it helps your recovery too.
Yeah.
Because days that I don't stretch, the next day I don't want to lift at all. Days that I do stretch,
So you can feel a physical difference.
Definitely. I can tell if I had a good stretch or a bad stretch the next day. For sure.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. I mean, that's important. I think a lot of people who lift a lot of weight, if they're not doing it, they have to adopt that. You need to, or you're not going to last that long. It's just not going to happen.
There's a few things that I've noticed between myself and talking to the top level lifters that they do that I'll say intermediate or lower level that don't. One of them's stretching. The other one is just like gym intensity, being in there to lift.
Yeah. Not to conversate.
Not to conversate.
Which can be really hard because you go in, you get to know people. And that's one of the things I ran into, which is nice. I mean, you make friends. You end up becoming, good friends with people that you either work out with or in there at the same time that you are. But it's a detriment at times because you'll go in and you'll just have conversations. You're like, dude, I just want to work out. Like, I want to get in here and I want to get out of here. And you can't at some point. And I don't know. How do you balance that out? Because you're probably like a celebrity in the gym, I imagine, right?
No, I'm no celebrity.
Well, people, I mean, at the summit, which is, in Altoona, like in that local gym, people know you, right? I mean,
they know of me. Yeah. I mean, that's as far as it goes. Unfortunately, with the sport, it's not that popular. It's not like I don't know, like a sports team comes in, they're sponsored by X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Whereas it's all about individualism. You have to promote yourself. So I go in there and say, okay, you're labeled as there's a power lifter. But people definitely know of me. They might not know who I am, but then I'm not saying like they realize, but they start seeing, they're like, okay, that's the guy that, although he does this weight, he's never there swearing or, staring down people. He's, like I'm the guy that I like to lift and I bring people in. If I can, I always say I'm a better coach than a lifter because I love just helping others at the gym, instead of making fun of, the guy that can't do it right. I go over there, hey, don't take this wrong way. You're going to hurt yourself. Meet up with me tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll knock this out. And that's just the type that I am. Like, I'd rather help people than, it's cool being number two, but if you're not doing something with it, then why are you there? In my mind.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's just going to help you move. You meet more people that way, meet the right people that way, get connected, and then somebody else comes up behind you who you helped get to where they're at. Like, they're always going to credit you for that, So there's a lot of benefits to it.
That'd be sweet.
So do you ever, like, what are your thoughts on CrossFit, strongman competitions? Like, do you ever see yourself, because you were saying about strongman, is that something you wanted to try at some point?
There's a major respect for strongman. I would love to, but it's so specific. Well, unspecifically specific.
Yeah.
You need like the rocks, you need the stones, you need, the car deadlift jacks and everything.
You need the barrel.
The barrel, yeah. Like you need all that, and the amount of people that do it compared to, why would a gym throw, we'll just say $20,000 for all this equipment if only one person's going to do it?
Yeah, where did they even find the equipment? Like, how does that even happen?
A lot of people build their own.
Do they really?
There's one of my buddies, he has stuff, but it's located on this side of Altoona, some on that side, places they can just store it. And as much as I'd love to do it, I don't think that there's training around here that you could actually get proper training to get to a certain level. But there are strongmen that have come out of Altoona, state level strongmen, but like Brian Shaw, the world's strongest man, he owns his own gym. It's in his house and he has everything there. And I think that's just the way you have to do it to get to those levels.
Yeah.
Although I don't know about CrossFit. I don't know if I'd ever do CrossFit. No offense to CrossFit. I'm a 290-pound guy doing CrossFit. Right. I don't think people would want to watch that.
You'd have to cut a little bit to be ready for it, I guess.
Get back down the military weight there.
Right.
So,
what did you weigh when you were in the military?
When I met my wife, and I'll use that because I was best, I was about 240 with a six-pack.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were a house.
I looked good back then. That's definitely looked different than I do now. But
I guess thinking of the crossman, like the strongmen, it's just the ESPN shows. Like they're on the beach, carrying giant boulders, pushing cars. You're like, dude, I want to be that guy. I can't believe these guys are real humans. And
it's ridiculous seeing them too, because they're like 6'7" inches. Like they're huge.
Do they have to be clean? Is that a requirement for strongmen?
No,
oh, okay.
No.
That's a stupid question, I guess.
No. I mean, knowing what I know, they're pretty open that it's at that level. Especially like probably that you see the world's strongest man. It's a different game up there.
Yeah,
it's pretty open about it.
What are your thoughts on steroids? Like, how do you feel about that whole world? Because you're clean, but I mean, a lot of people in that world are doing roids and doing HGH or whatever it is. I gotta stop here before I say something. I'll just think about it. For me personally, it's like whatever you want to do. Like if that's what you want to do, do it. I've had many friends who have. I thought about it and got close a couple of times, but never did. Yeah, I was like, I mean, why not? But then I thought, like, what am I doing with it? My thought was like, this is not my profession. I don't make money doing this. I don't use this like for accolades or anything. So what the hell do I like? I don't need to. That was my thought.
I think if you're gonna do it, then do it. And this is at a different level. Like I don't think people. I say people under 18, but if you're not doing it for a certain reason, I wouldn't touch it at all. But if we'll just pretend if you're a high school athlete will just say that's top of the line, and you get into college and, you're getting prospected in the NFL. I mean, I know, I can't say I know for a fact, but, doing research on it, there's a lot of top athletes that are on it, that hide it. And I think that's my biggest thing is, if you're going to do it, just be open about it.
What about the illegal part of it, though? I mean, you can get in trouble.
You can get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of time for it if you get caught. I think the way it is, it's not illegal to do it, but it's illegal to get caught with it, if I'm correct.
Right.
So it's a different game. Like Bigger, Stronger, Faster, they talk about it, why not? It's not that it's horrible for you. There's a lot of good things that can come.
But you've got to make sure that you're getting, like, if you're ordering some stuff from the Philippines online and you don't know what you're shooting up and that sort of thing, like, you got to make sure it's from the right people. Because when, like, Schwarzenegger talked about it back in the 70s, like, it was legal, number one, but they were getting it from doctors, and it was, I don't know if it's as safe as possible, but it's one of the safest ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know people used to go to, like, nurses' houses and say, here, can you make sure that this is correct? And, shoot me up. Okay, see ya. Bye. Cool.
Yeah.
And it was under the table. I mean, this is, again, back in the day, we'll just say.
Instead of in the locker room, your buddy hands you a needle and says,
hey,
stick it in my ass. Why
is this rusty, man?
Right. Yeah, like, you don't know what's going on there. That's pretty shady.
I had a buddy that was doing it, and he actually hit his sciatic nerve doing it. He did it himself, and
Ooh.
I can't say who it was.
He did it himself. Dang.
And we were away. He was in the military at the time, and I had to actually pull an 18-hour shift to cover him because he couldn't walk at that point. But I mean, steroids. I'm nothing against steroids, especially at like as a top athlete. Go do what you need to do, but whenever you hide, so to say, about it, it's taken away from what I've accomplished as a person, because my whole goal is to push my body as far as I can. Like I said earlier, I don't take protein, I don't take creatine, all that stuff. I tried creatine for a month.
That's hilarious. You don't take any protein or creatine or anything.
I mean, not to say I don't have the money for it, but why, I don't know what's in it. Proprietary blend. What is that?
Right.
Why is this scoop of 32 grams of protein look like, your water bottle, and this scoop is just like this little thing? Like, what's extra in here?
Right.
So I don't know enough to trust it, what I'm putting into my body at that point.
Do you take pre-workouts or anything like that?
I do. I think pre-workout's pretty essential. Mainly because the caffeine intake. It actually helps wake up your central nervous system. It helps you focus a lot more.
Which one? What do you take? What's the?
Oh, here comes a plug. Ready? I take.
Try to get sponsored.
Trying to get sponsored. No, I take Powder Burn 2.0.
Okay.
I get that at Redline. Redline Nutrition.
Yep.
But no, I take that, and then on heavy days, I'll also take No Dose, Walmart. But I take a pill of No Dose. It's on the big days, I'll total about 350 milligrams of caffeine intake. But again, that's only for certain days, and then other days, 150 milligrams, just something to wake up.
So you're taking it on days you're not even lifting?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I'll do a Monster whenever I'm up at like 1 a.m. doing homework and stuff, but I try to limit it because, there's receptors in your body, and, if you get used to taking 200 milligrams every single day, like people that do coffee, then they're like, man, I need a cup and a half, 2 cups. Where if you just take a week off, go from 2 cups of coffee to 1 cup for a week, then you take 2 cups again, it's going to be like wired.
Yeah.
You got to, I'd say, play with your receptors a little bit, like right now, I'm not going to take anything probably for the next 3 or 4 days. And as I lead up to a competition, last week or two, I try to take as little as possible. So whenever you're up on stage, you take a few scoops of pre-workout. It's like, holy moly. Like,
right, I'm ready to rock.
Yeah, you're sweating because it's like, man, I'm just sweating because caffeine's coming out of me right now. So...
Yeah, one thing I did notice from pre-workouts was they definitely help a lot. It definitely kicks you into gear. I took some, like NO Explode or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
This is a number of years ago, but I just remember being like, wow, it changed my whole workout. And then having a workout partner, like having somebody, because this guy Jason, who I used to lift with, like, he was shorter than me, but he was a lot bigger than me, and it's just, it's amazing what, and I'd say this, I had friends who never got a partner, and they figured why they couldn't get ahead or whatever, why they couldn't, you know, meet their next goal. And just somebody, it's amazing, just like the 2 fingers, just like barely even touching the bar.
Yeah.
Makes a world of difference. That's fascinating how that can make that big of a difference.
It does. And that's one of the things that, you know, powerlifters in general, well, hopefully they do this, but they say don't touch the bar. You know, a lot of times I'll get spotters just so the older people don't like freak out if I miss the weight. But I'll tell them I'd rather miss it than anything. You know, just if you're going to do anything, just let me go down slowly, because I don't want, you know, to go in there and lift 700 pounds and then go to my competition and it's just like 700 pounds. I go straight down.
Yeah.
You know, I want to know that I did it, you know, but whenever you miss, you know, last time I missed a squat, we'll just say 650 pounds, probably a year ago, people were like, why didn't you have a spotter? What were you doing? What were you thinking? I was like, okay, like I'll just get one to kind of stand there. You know, now some people are like, so you just wanted me to get in the video, didn't you? Yeah. So
it's just a safety protocol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something goes wrong if they could even pull that weight off of you at that point in time. But
yeah.
like, what are the chances? Yeah, man, I don't know. The world of powerlifting is fascinating. I guess I look at it like, what can you do with it, right? Like, how much time do you spend benching and deadlifting, like, compared to squatting?
So each day I actually go through, I squat 3 times a week, bench 4 times a week, deadlift 3 times a week.
Okay.
All in that 1-2 hour window. You know, this is where my numbers, games, and accounting comes in. But, you know, I might spend the first hour, we'll say, on squatting, and then maybe only do 2 sets of bench and 1 set of deadlift on the first day. Then the second day I might spend, you know, majority of the time deadlifting. Then I normally spend about 30 minutes benching every single day. And then squatting, maybe 2 sets. And then the third day I'll rotate back and forth. But I found that the more I do it, the better I get at it. You know, it'd be, I don't know enough about radio, so don't get upset with me, but it'd be like doing a podcast once a week where, okay, you know, the nerves are still there, everything's still there.
Yeah.
But if you do it every single day, it's just like, okay, like, you know, yesterday, you know, I said a swear word. I'm trying to be good on Facebook. A swear word 3 times. I gotta stop doing swear words.
Right.
And then after a while, your notes just become normalcy, and that's how I train. You know, I do as many lifts a day as I can, and it just becomes normal.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And that's super. Yeah, well, that's the key to everything, right? As long as you've got to keep at it. Consistency is key for anything to progressively get better, and consistency on like a daily or bi-daily basis is super important.
Oh yeah,
because whether it's podcasting and you're using your brain to say the words through your mouth, or you're using you're lifting and using your brain to lift weights, like it's just that muscle memory and how good is the reflex of your muscle and how quickly can you access it. You know,
and that, I think that's the other thing though, that like whenever I say I'm a better coach than a lifter, it took me literally until about a year ago to realize what I was doing. Even with people telling me, you know, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, but like I can look at somebody and just say, hey, you know, you have a forward tilt in your hips, you know, do this X, Y, and Z, and you're good. You know, benching, I can literally be on the other side of the gym, and I can say, okay, you know, this guy's doing this, watch, he's going to stop right here, and he's going to fail this time. And it's like spot on. And that's why, you know, I think another reason why people come to me and they're like, you know, hey, can you help me out? You know, there's not a day in the gym that I don't get probably 20, 30 questions. You know, just, hey, can you look at this? Hey, can you watch that? And there's no problem with it. I love it. Yeah. Like, if I could become a full-time coach, I would. You know, that's how much, like, my passion for coaching compared to lifting is.
Yeah.
You know, and the other thing that I can do is, you know, somebody will say, hey, you know, we'll just say squatted 275 pounds for 5. I want a max today. What should my number be? And I'll literally be able to tell them nearly to the number, you know, if you take this weight, you're going to get it. This weight, you're really going to struggle. And this weight, you're not. And it will be within 10 pounds. And they're like, oh, okay. And, you know, they might throw 315 where I say you're really going to struggle. And they'll really, really struggle. I'm like, man, you were right again. You know that? I was like, I know. Like, I there's something about the human body that not only fascinates me, but I can just look and I'm like, okay, here you go. You know, I've taken a guy, my buddy Brad, that helps me with my mental game from a 360 squat to 400 in just a few weeks.
Wow.
Just, hey, work on this,
Tiny little things that he was missing.
Little tiny things, and that's what I'd love to promote out there. And that's why I'm trying to get my Instagram bigger, to show them that, I'm not this cocky dude. I'm not a normal power lifter. Like, I want to help people.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing.
I mean, you have a lot of videos of you lifting. There's not many of you like talking about lifting. It's just be like interspersed. One day talk, one day lift.
I
kind of bounce back and forth. But it is and we were talking about this before we started. But like the hardest part is just getting used to doing it. Like putting the camera on having somebody film you lift. You're just lifting. You're not talking. That's what you've been doing. So you know how to do it. But to get on camera and start talking. I mean, you can think about it just the way you talk to somebody else. But it's definitely a whole different world that you have to get used to. But if you're doing it and already telling other people how to do it, you could easily get used to doing it on camera. You know what I mean? It's just,
I'd love to. I need that platform, so to say. And that's one of the reasons, once I found out, like I said earlier, I was literally sitting on my back porch. I was like, I'm number 2 in the world. I found out, and my wife, she's the one that pushed me the most. And she's like, you need to. And, we were talking earlier, I saw you doing that video out in California where you need to step outside. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not a good public speaker. Let's do this. Let's just try, and here we are, and just doing different things. And I've learned so much already. Like, okay, I need to go home, do a tip on, we'll just say Wednesdays now, the days that I don't do the gym, go in there and just help somebody. And, hey, can I videotape you for 20 seconds, 30 seconds?
Yeah.
And that's actually, hopefully, Central PA Live will let me do it. But I'm working with the trainer, Adam. He wants to get me on there to kind of promote it also. But a lot of the stuff he's helped me with, on different things, like Workout Partners Go, he's one of them for sure. He wants to put me on there to not only promote me, but to promote how he helps too. Because like you were saying with training partners, you need them. And
that's one of the biggest things when you get in there as a newbie in the gym. You're scared to talk to anybody. You're afraid to ask a question because you don't want to seem like an idiot who doesn't know what you're talking about, and you don't want to bother other people who have headphones on or whatever. So yeah,
it is.
You approaching people is probably like they're like, oh, thank God, somebody walk up to me. Like,
this guy, why is he walking? Did I take something of his?
He's gonna break me in half.
No, honestly, yeah. If anybody ever sees me in Summit, if anybody's watching this, definitely just come up and talk. Just come up and ask, because that's my passion. That's my true passion is coaching.
That's cool, man. I mean, that's impactful. That makes a gigantic difference. And if you do decide to start doing that and putting yourself out there, I mean, I could help you along the way. Because I'm as odd as it is that I've been on radio for a long time and I've put myself on video a lot. I still I watch my videos back and I'm like, ugh. I could have done. But I think that's anybody who wants to get better. You always have that mindset. You're not going to watch it and be like, nailed it 100%. There's that one little thing you're like, I kind of screwed that part up. But it's whatever. You just move past it and keep going forward, and that's how it ends up working out.
It's definitely interesting. I'm sure you do the same. Like for me, I watch my videos, and people are like, dude, that's sweet. I was like, yeah, but did you see this right here? And you see all the negatives, and everybody else is like, oh man, Rob Z, you have a podcast, you have however many followers, you're doing all this, but you're critiquing and you're training every single day. And I think that's the difference. If it's a passion that you truly love, you want to constantly get better. There's no end game. Yeah.
Well, it's just like lifting, right? Whenever I remember when I started lifting, I didn't track any of my progress at all. I didn't take any progress pictures or anything like that. And when you do something day to day, you don't see that it's growing. I mean, you can obviously I lifted more weight this day, I got more followers on Facebook this day or whatever, but you don't see it like other people would. Somebody who just happens to watch you one time and then maybe 2 months later they catch what you're doing, then maybe 6 months later they catch what you're doing.
Steroids.
They see steroids. That dude's on roids.
Yep.
He's gotta be.
How did he do that? Yeah.
But whenever you're day to day in it, you kind of forget that people look at it. You forget that other people from the outside are looking in like, wow, this person's changing rapidly, but to you it's like such a slow daily process that it seems like nothing.
It is.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. And for you, I mean, dude, you're like 2011 to 2018, 7 years, you've done a lot in 7 years.
It's come a long way.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
And you probably don't even look at it like that half the time. Do you look at it like that a lot? I mean,
I like looking back a lot.
You do?
You know, I go back to the days where, 315 pounds was just like, I looked like a baby giraffe being born trying to squat that weight up. Knees buckling in. I used to think your knees touching was good. That's how bad it was.
Your knees touching was like your legs bent in.
Bent in. I used to think that supports each other. That's great. Little I know, awesome. I probably tore a few tendons on the way.
No doubt.
And
somebody in the gym probably saw you like, that guy's gonna kill himself, but never said a word to you about it.
Exactly. But I love looking back because my mindset, if you don't know where you came from, you'll never know where you're going. And it's all about a vision.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I try to tell my story since I started Instagram. I almost use it as a diary, so to say, where every single day I can go back a year and say, okay, cool, the Arnold 2017, I squatted 660 and look how bad that looked. And now I'm squatting, 660 for 3 and, it looked 100 times better. And it reminds you whenever you're even having your bad days, it's like, just keep pressing forward and you'll get through it. You'll get through that rush or that rut, and like my buddy Brad, it's almost like, you're just having a bad week, but looking back, this is one of the things he helped me with. Look back on the old videos, you'll see your progression. It's there. You'll see how you were writing, or maybe you're doing a podcast and you're like, man, hey, you guys, but it gets better. There's always an end game there. Mm-hmm. So,
and your bad week, usually, if you look back, if you had a bad week and you think, well, what was I like 4 years ago? This bad week would have been the best week ever.
Right?
Like, so it's all it's all perspective as far as to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the biggest things that I got, and maybe you can attest to this too, is like because I never really dedicated myself to anything that much until I started lifting weights. That was like one thing I dedicated myself to. I was like, oh, I'm going to do this 4 or 5 days a week, or however many days I did it a week. I guess radio was one, but like whenever I used it then as fuel, thinking like, oh, I can't do this other thing. Like when I left radio and I was getting into internet marketing, and I was thinking like, well, how am I going to do that? I've been in radio for so long. And then I looked at like how long I had been working out for. And I'm like, well, I've done this for this long and it's only gotten better, and I've only gotten better at it, and I only enjoy it more now. So why can't you just take that discipline and that mindset and apply it to something else?
Exactly.
It copies over like perfectly.
It does. It's not something that you can just pick up one day. And just do it. Like you said, you got, it's easy to say, okay, like you said, I've applied 7 years to this, and I've gone from, I say nobody to this. What would happen if once my career starts, if I put the same amount of effort into that, where could you be?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things is although it's a hobby, it's whenever it's a passion, it takes it somewhere else to a whole new level.
That's why I see people who go to the gym and have amazing bodies, but then have like a job they don't like, or like, whatever it is. Like you could be taking that. Maybe fitness is the thing. Maybe that is the thing you should be focusing on. That could be like your stepping stone, your platform.
I'm working on my. This is funny because
the first powerlifting accountant. Like, how do you tie those together?
Yeah, I'm gonna do your numbers I'm gonna spend your money and do your numbers for powerlifting. There we go. No, I'm looking into my the background that you need the clearances that you need to work with children. Actually, because if this does take off with any strength coaching, I'd love to put into that. But if not, I have the accounting. That's definitely something I love also. But I've already put so much time into this.
The accounting's a little more behind the scenes.
Yeah,
the powerlifting's a little more in front of people.
I just won't need to hire an accountant at that point. Right?
That could be a huge advantage to you at some point in time.
Right.
Well,
that was one of the things I was so surprised. Like the whole Air Force One security. I have lots of clearances, so to say. And then I get out.
You still? Or you don't have anything anymore?
I think they're gone at this point. I want to say whenever it came up, I had to spend I think it was $10,000 just to renew it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot of signatures, so to say. And then it was like, oh, you can't work as a trainer because you're not cleared to work with, kids. I'm like, I could carry a gun next to the president, but I can't. So that's something I'm working on now is, getting the clearances. So in case anybody does want, hey, can we do some training? Yes, here I'm cleared to do everything at that point. So, that's the turnaround at this point where not only Instagram powerlifting, but at some day it's going to have to end, and where will it end? The next thing I'd love to do is that for sure.
Yeah.
That would be great. Especially with what I know I can do too, being able to literally watch somebody be like, okay, X, Y, and Z, boom, here you go. Because
that's some value. As long as you can add value to somebody's life, as long as if it's their business, their life, whatever, if you can add value, you have a job.
Yeah.
Like it's always going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, like on the side, I call them clients, but I train people all over the country right now still, like all the military buddies.
Online? How do you train them?
It's a lot of it videos. They'll send me videos on Facebook or Instagram, direct messages. Hey, Matt, what do you think of this? X, Y, and Z. I always use X, Y, Z. I need to stop doing that. Maybe ABC.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I help my buddy in Texas. I've helped him a lot. He wanted to do a 405-pound squat at 180 pounds while being on the Air Force softball team and baseball team. It's like, okay, well, we're going to do this at this time so you can still be athletic, but you can be strong too. So it's a different approach to everything. Or my buddies out in California who want to swim, but they want to get bigger too. It's different approaches that you just got to take. And
do you do supplemental exercises along with the 3 main exercises? Like, are there things that you train with just to make those other things better?
I do. So there'll be days instead of doing squats, I'll do like pause squats to work different parts of the muscle more.
What are they?
Pause squats where you just go down and pause.
Okay.
Because there's different firing points of the muscle, the beginning, middle, and end. There might be more in between, but those are the 3 that I always explain. And like pause squats will help you out of the hole a lot more. But what you're doing is you're building that part of the muscle. Or I'll do like high bar because it hits the muscles different areas. But then probably what you're looking at more so is, do you do crunches? Which, of course, abs, stuff like that. But a lot of it at this point in my career now, a lot of it's mainly squat, bench, deadlift, and I'll do rows. A lot of, weights, just different types of rows. Rows with barbell, dumbbell, machine.
Really? So rows are huge for, I guess, bench.
For bench, it builds your back.
Okay. If you build the back, yeah.
If you think of like a bridge, a suspension bridge, the suspensions is muscle. 700 pounds on your back is a lot of weight, but once you add those suspensions in, now 50 pounds is held here, 50 there. You're trying to disperse it over a bigger load at that point.
Yeah.
But earlier in my career, I was doing everything under the sun to try to get better. Jumping jacks was part of it. Just building my legs up, anything I could. And I think that's important for younger lifters. Don't do what you see me doing by any means.
Because you want to jump. You always want to jump right to the high level.
Yeah,
that can mess you up big time for sure.
It could. You got to do what people like. I say me, but whenever I was watching Chad Smith, he would always say, "Do what I was doing 10 years ago." So YouTube, 10 years ago, what were you doing? And that's what I was looking at. And a lot of these people, they don't do even the main lifts until the last few weeks of their competition.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Like, if I have, we'll just say 16-week program, I'll do squats, so to say, but I'll do a lot of pause squats, high bar squats, front squats, and then at the end, I'll hit the squats for sure. But I might only do one set of squats that day, and then all the rest will be different variations to work on different styles of the movement. If I'm falling forward, I'll put the weight forward, makes me stand up more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
just to balance yourself out to make sure that when you actually do the squat for real, your body's fully aligned.
Yeah, the 360.
Yeah, the whole 360.
The whole 360.
That's what it's all about, man. Very cool. This is interesting stuff. I think people, obviously, I think YouTube and the internet in general has helped the world of fitness become much more accepted and understood. But a lot of people are still they look at it as just a bunch of meatheads in the gym who don't know what they're doing. They're just picking up heavy weights. And part of it is just picking up heavy weights, but there's a lot of science to it and a lot of like expertise to it. that I think that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of just looking at, a guy doing a deadlift and then, taking a break, doing another deadlift. They look at that like, well, what is he really? Because I'll think that sometimes. I'll think like, well, I mean, that's obviously.
Why are you sitting for 10 minutes and talking?
Yeah, right. Oh, that's something I wanted to bring up with you. Was you mentioned your watch?
Yeah.
That you keep track of your time.
I keep track. I learned that the intensity level is the most important thing. Like people look at powerlifters and say, oh, I got the comment the one time I was squatting. This is going to sound a lot, but I was doing like sets of 5 at 550. And they were like, well, why aren't you squatting heavy? Did you give it up? And I was like, no, I'm squatting lighter, but in a shorter amount of time. So I have a stopwatch on me that I'm always, once I drop the weight, boom, 3 minutes, I'm back underneath that weight. And that's the big thing is I work technically sound, so I never put myself in a compromising situation until I get close to a competition. But I hate sitting around. I hate sitting there talking. There will be days where I'll do it, but 90% of my training is hit a weight, 3 minutes, do it again, because there's also gym etiquette at that point too, where I'm always on the squat rack. I need my stuff, and you'll see people, we'll just say deadlifting for an hour and a half, and they do 5 sets. It's like, dude, like let me work in here,
Yeah.
But I mean, some people do it that way, but like I said, I'm just trying to revolutionize the sport a little bit, doing it a little bit differently.
Well, plus, dude, you're just you're keeping your blood flow going. You're keeping your heart rate up. You're actually getting a workout compared to not saying that you're not getting a workout otherwise, but you're just not pushing yourself as hard as you could be. I don't know. Like there's a certain rest period, like you said, 3 minutes necessary, right, for what you're doing. But anything past that is just kind of wasted time.
Yeah, and there will be actually people that, they'll come from other lifters and they'll say, Matt, can I try something for a few weeks with you? And yeah, jump on board. And after like a week or two, they'll be like, I feel alive again. The blood flows there. I feel like I'm working. I've never sweat this much before. I'm used to just hitting a weight and waiting. And they love it, and they get addicted to it. Like you can see in their eyes that they get it, like why I love it so much.
Yeah, and it keeps you disciplined.
It does.
So you're not just like screwing off the whole time. You're like, I gotta set time, and like, I when I was I started doing that towards the end. I had a watch, and I would set it, and every 30 seconds, I forget how it was. Maybe it was 2 minutes where I'd track it, but it kept me on pace. I got so much more done because you don't realize how much time you waste.
You do.
It's crazy. And then you get into a conversation, 15 minutes goes by, you haven't done anything. It's wild. So yeah, it keeps you on pace, gets you, and that's like I said, I switched over to like Tabata and HIIT training, and I got so much out of that because what I got done in an hour and a half workout, I was then getting done in 25 minutes. I wasn't lifting as much, but I was getting just as much work in.
Yeah, and that's the thing, everybody thinks, oh, I squatted 500 pounds. I went, crazy today. Where in my books, well, that's great. You did 500, but we're going to be over here doing 430 for 5 sets of 2. And we're going to get a lot more out of it than you're going to get out of your one set, because like you said, it's just the intensities, it's just there and it's just constant, and you feel alive finally. So many powerlifters you'll see so slow and sluggish because they do one thing and they sit, or they do one thing and they're on their phones on Instagram or texting, their buddies that are on the other side of the gym, so to say, or hey, what's for dinner tonight?
Right.
Some of the times I'll be sitting there, I'll be on my phone and I'm literally just doing it, waiting so nobody talks to me, like, okay, yeah. And my phone will be like on a text message with my wife, and I'm just like acting as if I'm scrolling through just so I don't get in any conversations.
Right.
So yeah,
it's important. And it's not rude. People look at that like as like rude, but when you're, I don't know. There's two different mindsets in the gym. There's people who go there to conversate. There's people who go there to actually get something done. And if you're there to conversate, fine. But you're gonna, if you're conversating with somebody who really wants to get something done, you're just gonna piss them off. And there's a place for it. There's a place for sitting around talking. There's a place for actually getting the work in. And I guess it depends on the day you're feeling too. But
yeah, oh yeah.
It's cool, man. Well, thanks for coming in. This was an interesting conversation.
Oh yeah.
I hope people listening to this got a lot out of it, because you're talking to number 2 at 308 in the world.
We're gonna get that number 1 spot, sir.
7 billion people, and you're number 2 at 308. Which you weigh less than that now, right? You're like at 2 something.
Yeah, I'm at 288 today. So.
Okay. So you'll beef up for the competition, or what do you? Or you just stay at the weight you're at?
I've never been over 300. I never want to be over 300.
Oh, okay. Well, why 308? That's just
it's just 275.1 to 379.999 is how it goes. So yeah, I'm kind of the underdog at that weight class, so to say. Well, not really. I mean, it's everybody, and there's a Wilk score, it's called, which everybody thinks is named after me. It's not.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet. Yeah, I'm gonna take that over. No, but it allows me to compete against you at the different weight classes, but it evens everything out. So.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But yeah.
So you were pretty much designed for this then. Your name's already attached to powerlifting. So
yep.
Makes perfect sense. If people want to find your Instagram, like your Facebook and stuff, how do they find you? What is it?
It is.
Do you know?
I do. Oh, my phone's shut off. It's
Matt Wilk.
Matt Wilk. No, it's Matt.the_natural.wilk.
Okay.
Which is not about being natural. It's just what I was used to be called. Just natural at it.
Oh, just because you're natural at what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see your stuff every day, man. Yeah, Matt_the_dot. Boy, that's kind of tough.
I know. I should just change it.
You might want to change that up.
What should I change it to? Just Matt.Wilk.
What about just Matt the Natural Wilk? Or is that already taken?
I think that was already taken.
Matt_the_natural_Wilk. It's too much.
It's too much?
It's making my brain hurt.
We'll change it right now. How about that? Do we have like 5 minutes for this?
Yeah, man, go for it. We'll end the podcast, but we'll say, what are you going to change it to, or how do you...
Well, how about that? You give me a nickname. There we go.
Oh, dang. On the spot.
From Rob Z. The Rob Z.
Boy, I don't know if I could do that.
And it can't be Matt Rob Z.
Damn, man. We'll talk about it off the air. Let's figure it out. Because I'm telling you, you could... I mean, it's impressive. 6 world records. What are your world records?
There's 3 in the military. Squat, deadlift, and total. And there's 3 in the open, squat, bench, and total. It was a 715 squat, 445 bench, and I totaled 1837.5, which is actually what put me up to number 2. And we're hoping to bring those up. My next competition is the Worlds in 32 days, and we're hoping to up those numbers a good bit more.
Where's that competition at?
That'll be in Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
32 days, and then
that's a world competition. Like people come from all over, or what is that?
It's named world. It's more of a national. People from all over the nation will come. Okay. It's supposed to be the best of the best, and then the Arnold. On March 3rd, I sent in my application for that, and that's where you get all the different federations coming in. Like this one's just gonna be my federation. And then the Arnold will be a bunch of different federations coming in, and basically like I'll be like team my federation, you're part of your federation. It's kind of like a clash at that point.
Okay, cool, dude. It's incredible. It's incredible what you're doing. I think it's awesome.
But yeah, if they just look up Matt Wilk, WILK,
you'll pop
on Instagram, it'll pop up.
There you go. Just look up Matt Wilk. Yeah.
Picture of me and my wife.
That works.
Big ugly guy. We're good.
Cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming in.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
And we'll check once you're number 1. Let's get you back in here. And
I would.
How far are you away from number 1? Are you close?
It's about 200 pounds.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, he's good. He's good. Maybe
Where's he from?
Canada.
Okay.
There's Canadians up north.
I thought it'd be like a Russian dude or German.
That's what I thought too.
Like that.
That's what Russia was number 4.
So what's like the guy who's on steroids? Where's he at? Who's not natural?
They're a lot farther ahead of me. They're
1,000-pound squats, stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And what I do, they're 1,000-pound squat, 900-pound deadlifts, almost 600-pound benches. It's ridiculous.
That's insane. Well, your phone's blowing up, so we got to go. You just turned it on. It's lighting up. All right, man. Matt, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation with Matt. Matt, thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. And we're going to have him back eventually because I think he's just going to keep, as long as he keeps his body healthy and he keeps doing the things that he's doing, I think he's on the right path to do some amazing things in the world of fitness, whether he is, actually doing powerlifting or he's training, he's a coach, he becomes a fitness Instagram celebrity. He's got many different paths he could go down, but I love that conversation. And anybody who's involved in fitness, I think that you could recognize the dude has his head on his shoulders and he's on a great path for making things happen for himself and for others. So thank you for joining. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can always go to patreon.com/RobZRadio. You can support the podcast right there. If you donate money, trust me, all the money that's donated goes right back into the podcast and make this thing even better for all of the listeners out there, for you, for the zebras. That's what Rob Z Radio is all about. I want to give back, and I also want to be able to highlight, whether it's where I live in central Pennsylvania, giving back to people in this area, or just in general, anybody out there. If you want to be a part of the show, if you have something you want to talk about, feel free. You can message me. Just click the contact button at robzradio.com. When you go there, you can find out about my internet, social media marketing, and consulting business, my adventures with my son Max. Get all the podcast episodes and everything about me at robzradio.com. As always, Clay Cup, Trade Secrets, Juice, Sports Evolution, thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time for another episode. Peace out!
This is Rob Z Radio.
That's brutal.